Section 12.4 talks about adding and subtracting polynomials. The way we add polynomials is simply to combine like terms. So if you notice the first problem that we have here, it just says to add and simplify. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to combine our like terms. 3x and 9x is going to give us a total of 12x, and then a positive 7 and a positive 5 will leave us with a positive 12. Now, we cannot combine those because they're not like terms anymore. So we're just combining our like terms. We're combining the x's with the x's and the numbers with the numbers. Okay, the second problem. So 3x minus 8 plus 4x squared minus 3x plus 3. So the first thing I notice is that the term 4x squared is the one that has the highest exponent. Remember, the degree of that polynomial would be a degree 2. Typically, when we write our answers, we typically write them in what we call descending order, meaning we're going to write the one that has the highest power of x first, and then we'll go with the next power of x, so on and so forth. So there's only one x squared, and it's that 4x squared term. Now we have this positive 3x and this negative 3x here. Well, those terms will just cancel out. And then a negative 8 and a positive 3 will leave us with a negative 5. Okay, let's take a look at the third problem. So again, I'm going to combine my like terms. Negative 3y squared and 2y squared is going to give us a negative y squared. A minus 4y and a plus y, we can think about that as a plus 1y, leaves us with a minus 3y. And then finally here we have a minus 1. Good. All right, let's go on to the next problems. So these next problems here say to subtract and simplify. Okay, so in subtracting polynomials, one small difference is we're going to go ahead and rewrite the first polynomial without the parentheses, 2x plus 5. Since we're subtracting, we're going to think of the number right here behind our minus sign and in front of our parentheses as a 1. But if you notice, there's a minus here, so we're going to go ahead and distribute that negative 1 to both those terms. So negative 1 times 3x is a negative 3x. Negative 1 times a negative 9 is a positive 9. And now we can go ahead and combine our like terms. So 2x minus 3x is a negative x. And a plus 5 and a plus 9 is a plus 14. Good. All right, let's try the next one. We'll do it the same way. So again, I'm going to leave the first part here alone. That's going to stay as 5x squared plus 4. We'll think of this here as a negative 1. And we're going to distribute that negative 1 to both terms. So negative 1 times negative 2y squared is a positive 2y squared. Negative 1 times a positive 4 is a negative 4. Now again, when we combine our like terms, notice this is a 5x squared and a 2y squared. They are not like terms, but I still need to write both of them down. So we have 5x squared plus 2y squared. But then our positive 4 and negative 4 will cancel out, and we're left with that as our answer. All right, so let's try the next one here. Again, I'm just going to rewrite my first polynomial as a negative 7x squared plus 4x plus 7. We'll think of this here as a negative 1. And we'll distribute that negative 1 to both terms. So negative 1 times a negative 8x is a positive 8x. Negative 1 times a positive 2 is a negative 2. Now we're going to go ahead and combine our like terms. So the first term I'll write is our negative 7x squared. We don't have any other x squared, so we'll just write that one first. Then we have a plus 4x and a plus 8x. That's a plus 12x. And finally, we have a positive 7 and a negative 2, which leaves us with a positive 5. All right. So let's take a look at this next problem down here. And it says to add or subtract is indicated. So often when we're doing these sorts of problems, it can be a little confusing because we have so many parts to this thing. So typically what I tell my students is pretend that this part here wasn't there. Okay? Suppose that was my problem. And if you notice here, I'm adding. Okay, so 2x squared plus another x squared, well, that's just 3x squared. A plus 7x, I can think about that as a minus 1x, is a plus 6x. And then a negative 9 and a positive 10 is a positive 1. Okay, now, well, I do have this part over here. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the next part. Again, I'm going to think of this here as a negative 1. We'll distribute that to both terms. And so now what we have is a negative 3x squared and a positive 30. And so now when we start to combine our like terms, well, this 3x squared and that 3x squared are going to cancel out. That's going to leave us with a 6x. And a plus 1 and a plus 30 is our plus 31. So again, when I have more than two polynomials that I'm trying to add or subtract, I always deal, let me take care of the first two, then we'll do the third one.